Live from LA, it's Saturday night. Well, actually, it's the Chromaniacs joining you live on a Saturday night after a 1-0 victory over LAFC. LAFC, I thought you were 4 matches, no victories over SanDiego.FC. SDFC, 3 wins, 1 draw against the black and gold. Chromaniacs rules today in full Chromaniac gear, live on YouTube. Craig Elston and Tony Sanchez here with you to talk about one of the highlight wins so far of 2026, Tony.
It was an incredible day to be a SanDiego.FC fan. A lot of people made it up there. Over 500 people, almost 600, I believe, made it up in person, the supporter sections, to witness Honors Dreyer get a well-earned yellow card. But unfortunately, not so good second yellow card. Yeah. But you know what? They're celebrating tonight. Everybody should be celebrating on the way back to the 5. Thank you for those who are listening in the bus. If that's you right now, good job. Keep the celebration because the party is continuing. We couldn't ask Honors post-match because he had a red card, but I wonder what he says. Party killed last year. Party started this year.
They won't let a player who got a red card talk after the match?
No.
Even if the first yellow was for just taking off your jersey for being a goofball?
Yeah, right. I know.
All right. Well, okay, MLS. I accept your rules and regulations. Alex Pena was at the match at BMO Stadium. He is unlikely to join us, but if he happens to drop in later, it'll be well appreciated. Welcome to all the SDFC fans watching, wherever you happen to be watching. We are back in San Diego, the two of us, to break down this 1-0 win. And I'll tell you what, Tony, I was to start off the discussion, I was well prepared to talk about this 0-0 draw as the best and most complete game that SanDiego.FC played this year, and also one of the most lucky, but a game that you could truly build on, even though it's a draw, even though it doesn't really push you up the standings. It's an incredibly complete performance against one of the best teams in the league on their field, where they've only lost, where they've got the best record in MLS since coming into the league. They're the number 1 home team in the league. And to get out of there with a draw, incredible performance. And then a crazy decision by an excellent player to just throw his hand out there and give SanDiego a penalty with 2 minutes left in regulation. Honors Dreyer makes it count with a beautifully placed shot, and SDFC sees out stoppage time, even though it had some harrowing moments along the way, and pulls a 1-0 victory out of BMO Stadium. Only the second time that LAFC has lost at home this MLS season. Only the second time that SDFC has won on the road this MLS season. And it comes in the City of Angels against the hated black and gold. What a night for the Chromaniacs.
Yeah, it was well managed too. A lineup that is similar, if not exactly the same, outside of Morgan starting on the left wing, that has that momentum that builds through Leagues Cup. And for everything that we've talked about Leagues Cup, this might have been that jump start that this team needed to get those 2 victories. And that's how it served, and it served its purpose. And you come out a better team, because this team, it's definitely not as polished as we've seen SanDiego.FC and in play in their play style, because you have Pirani in there, you have Morgan, who's still kind of a speed bump on offense from time to time, but he's getting better, and you see those steps. And The miscues are still happening, but that's just what you get with this version of San Diego FC. And I think tonight they played their best individual and collective match they could all get. Everybody gave maximum effort. Maximum effort was put, and you can tell in every single phase of the play, from CJ defensively, Bombino having an amazing clearance, an amazing just intervention against Son Heung-min. That is worth a goal and a half on its own. That would have been worth that point. And I think everybody would have been happy with that point, but they kept fighting. They kept trying to create. And I think if you take something away from this match and something to work on, I think it's creating a little bit more chances because you had the possession. You had them where you wanted. You were making them run silly, but you weren't creating enough chances, but you got the one, and it came off of that same set piece situation that we talked about on against Puebla, that they go for the first post, they go for Yepe to flick the ball back. It makes contact with an arm, and that's enough for a penalty. And Honors coming back and taking care of ghosts of penalties past as well for himself.
100%. I was so excited to see SDFC come away from this game with a win. I'm sure many of you out there watching, if you've watched SDFC all year, were waiting for the other shoe to drop in this game, because there were moments, Tony, where I felt like, especially in the first 30 minutes, that SDFC thought the strategy of the game or the object of the game was just to play rondo outside of the 18. And like, if you can complete 10 passes in a row outside of the opponent's 18, they would award you a goal or something, because it was just consistent, like double triangle passing, like back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, not doing anything with it, not even creating a chance out of it. Just a long-term wear down strategy, which I don't really think you can argue necessarily worked. SDFC got tired as the match went on, and LAFC, I think any objective viewer would agree, had the lion's share of possible scoring chances in this match. It was almost a shutout in that, until Tverskov put a header on that Ryan Porteous just for no reason reached out and touched.
Yeah, no, it was, and it was to both sides of VAR as well, where we've seen San Diego FC be on one side, and this time it saved them from a goal, and on the other side, it allowed them for the only goal to happen. And I think, there was times where, LA is a good team. Offensively, they're a good team, and you always kind of had that moment when they were marching down the field and there was space given, and Son Heung-min was able to kind of get inside those spaces. And the mistakes were still there. It's not 100% clean, and that's what we've seen is big spaces. But that's where CJ then kind of learned and grew through this match, and he was able to go ahead and be that safety blanket behind everybody to say, "Hey, I got you back here." But he also learned to stay back a little bit and not overcommit. In the first half, he was overcommitting a little bit. That's how you get that almost goal that VAR came back and said no, it was a handball situation. But overall, I think this is a good one for the tape for the entire squad. Even Verhoeven. I mean, Verhoeven, who looked gassed in the 8th minute, was able to go ahead and hold his own, and he did a great job today.
Maybe Verhoeven just looks gassed. Maybe that's just his look, because he looked gassed in the 8th minute. He looked gassed in the 88th minute, but he was still out there doing it all. I think without question, 3 points, Dreyer gets the goal, but you've got to look to the defense for this game, because Manu Dua saves a goal late with an incredible block shot. Luca Bombino saves a goal with an incredible intervention on Kim on Sonny, pardon me, when he's right in front of the net. I mean, in front of the net, absolute sitter goal. And then Dos Santos comes up with an incredible save after he went for a punch on a corner and was down and sprung up and was still able to have the dexterity to dive to his left and two-hand a ball away. This was such a committed, and there is that play defensive effort where you can just look up and down. Murphy had a critical intervention at one point. So you really can't go all the way across the back line from Murphy to Dua, through all the way to Verhoeven and Bombino, and find incredible interventions that denied goal scoring chances. There's a different world where where LAFC wins this game 3-0, 4-1, something like that. And for it to be 1-0 San Diego coming back with all 3 points and maybe turning the entire season around with this road result, it took all of those defenders to come up, and Dos Santos to come up with just critical goal-saving plays.
Yeah, and that's what this team feeds off, and it is a very emotional team in that way, that they feed off of good vibes and good energy, and when things are going well, they get into a state of flow in a lot of sense. And this is, again, the effort that they had by not having some of their best players, quote unquote, in this style starting in their starting 11. Yepes Verskov is on the bench. You have Oni Valakari, who, yes, he's had some troubles, and even comes in, gets himself a yellow card in record time
in like 40 seconds. It was amazing.
But everybody's fitting in that system, and then a resurgence too and we've seen this a couple times of, we've counted out Godoy. We're like, man, well, coming around to it. He's coming. He's this age. He's going to be a rotational player, and then he puts on a performance like tonight. And it's Alvarado who's coming out for Yepe, and that's something that also told me, like, okay, there's a different gear to some of these players that they've now shown in training. That's enough for Mikey to say, okay, you've earned this. You've earned this. Yepe may still not be 100% from that injury. The rumors of his demise were greatly exaggerated. Of Pellegrino, he comes back and stretches the field, puts some pressure on people. So everybody from top to bottom did their job. And even, the coaching staff, I think, also needs to be praised as much as it's criticized. When we've seen Mikey Varas push back and start to park the bus, you can see him barking orders to Pellegrino to pressure all the way to the end of the game. And so if that's not some sort of growth or just situational awareness for himself, and say, hey, we've tried to sit back and we've been punished that way. Now, if we do the other thing and do what we're supposed to, we've been doing for 90 plus minutes, that's going to lead to success. And I think that's a huge plus too for tonight.
LAFC played all out in Leagues Cup and really burned their starters on Wednesday night and failed to advance. There might have been a tick of that advantage coming to San Diego, especially when you just look at the possession overall and you look at kind of a generally 70-30 game in terms of possession for San Diego. But SDFC had to play through those 3 Leagues Cup games, and because they don't have as deep of a bench, they had to burn some guys as well. Chris McVeigh played this game on the bench, but it was really exciting to see. And you mentioned Jamal Pellegrino coming back. Yeah, we wondered, would he play at all this year? He played. He's a huge part of this squad. We saw that this time last year when he started coming in, replacing Chucky Lozano and really driving this club to the Western Conference final. But then Elias Achuri makes his debut, comes in the 50th minute of this game, shows great skill on the ball, drew a ton of attention from LAFC. They were fouling him left and right to try and drop him to the pitch and keep him from attacking. That was a gigantic move to help space things out a little bit for San Diego FC. So the idea that this club is getting healthier, Tony, and now with Achuri have the opportunity to start putting a stronger and stronger lineup out there on the pitch match after match, I think this really augurs well for the club's chance to fight their way into a playoff berth.
And Mikey today in the post-match was mentioning too that as I'll post that a little bit later here on the channel, but that this is something that they have to enjoy. Yes, they have to work on it, but they have to take this because they've been in a bit of a rut. Like they really have. And I think this is this emotional kind of pushback and reward for a lot of these players that have shown something during Leagues Cup. Maybe they didn't take it lightly, as some of us may think like, it's just Leagues Cup. Well, no, it's some of these players playing for their livelihood and playing for that first starting spot. And this is the reward of that. And I really think that this can be a moment that they need to go ahead and use to move forward and propel themselves for the rest of the season, because this is huge. You can say again, like, you have never lost to an LA team. Like that, everybody was coming in today with that in mind of like, well, this is kind of it. Like, this is, if there's ever a game that this is gonna be the one. And Honors Dryer doing what he does, and also just being everywhere on the field quietly a little bit, the one to get that goal. It's huge for the team, just in a spiritual way. This was very much needed. You ever know where Limpia is, Craig, in Mexico?
Limpia, clean?
Yeah,
What?
it's exactly. It's a cleanse where you get kind of like just reset in a lot of ways. I think this was this moment for SDFC of just center, zen, focus. Now let's go ahead and move forward and replicate this.
Limpia, pero un poco tan rojo para un Andrés Dreyer. Porque no necesita la tarjeta. What was going on with that? Andrés Dreyer makes a really important defensive play at the end of the game, but it gets him a second yellow and a red to get sent off, and to get sent off for the next match for San Diego FC midweek next week. And all because he went full Brandy Chastain after scoring the pin. Like, I mean, cool, dudes. Nice sports bra. It's great. I remember 1999 as well. I think this is a good foul by Andrés Dreyer, even though it is a yellow and it's an obvious yellow, and he lifted his studs like super late, and he might have been able to get away with the foul without the yellow. So like on that level, maybe something to technically try and fix when you're trying to be cynical next time. But nonetheless, that was important. Son should have scored 1 to 3 goals tonight. Like, he was explosive, he was decisive, and he was very unlucky. He just missed once. Another time, Bombino took it off of his toe. And, he might have scored on this play and completely changed our thoughts, because a 0-0 draw, Tony, was going to be a really encouraging result for San Diego FC. A 1-1 draw when you scored on a penalty in the 89th minute was going to be devastating. Like, devastating. And just an indictment of the rest of the season. How can we advance if we can't win this one? And that didn't happen. And Dreyer's tackle was part of the reason why. They're going to have to figure out a way to win their next match without him. This is an impacted schedule. That's not a great time for that to take place. And the fact that it happened because of a celebration penalty, boy, that's got to be frustrating for number 10, Tony, because he knows how important he is to this club.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I mentioned it just in the group chat. Like, if you score a goal in a penalty form, I don't think you need to take your jersey off. Let it be an open play goal and do that. Like, it's just a different feeling. But I get it. He was lost in the moment. I'll give him kudos to going and being a professional player and going to recognize your diehard fans that are in that corner. So kudos for that. But you just have to not put yourself in that situation. And maybe he sacrificed himself knowing that this was, like Dr. Strange, the one way he needs to get a red card. And even then, after a red card, this team is still going to be able to hold on to this matchup. And it's, well, Mikey said it's annoying in the post match. He said, yeah, it's annoying, but we'll worry about that some other day.
Yeah, not tomorrow. They'll wake up tomorrow and be like, oh God, what's going with that Dryer? Are you kidding me? What's that? For what? But having said that, really enjoyed what I saw. I thought David Morgan played well again today, Tony. I thought this was the second straight game that you saw Morgan really flying around, being disruptive, creating things, you'd love to. He had a really nice step in and shot where he missed the near post. And to be honest, if we didn't get that penalty, that probably ranks as one of the top 2 to 3 chances that SDFC had on the evening. So I was very encouraged with what Morgan brought. And the fact that Pellegrino is back now, he played, 10 minutes. Can he play 30 minutes on Wednesday? Can he play 20 minutes on Wednesday? Can Shuri move up to a 60-minute appearance in the game? And can Morgan cover? I think that maybe SDFC can figure out a configuration to get through a game without Anders Dreyer. As I just saw, you're cycling through some of the comments. Zomble, based on his Leagues Cup performance, that's not an impossible thought. Vasquez, obviously, I like him in the midfield, but you could play him up top. But Morgan, I guess the point I'm sending back to you, ping pong style, is that Morgan's play and Pellegrino's return makes Dreyer's incoming absence a little bit more survivable.
Yeah, and what you still haven't seen what some of these combinations have been. You did see some new looks with Leagues Cup. You saw some combinations that you liked enough to say, you know what, this gives a different facet. I think it was at some point. I think the comms guy from SDFC put it in a very cool way. How have you unpacked yourself? Like it's like those mattresses that come in the mail now that they're just vacuum packed. You got to leave them for a couple of days before it's their full potential. Pirani, you have you didn't have Thorhausen out there, but some of these players, Ashuri, are just unpacking themselves. They're unboxing. They're coming to their full selves, and that's going to be enough to carry this team. Because I've always said, and I've been annoyed by soccer that's reliant on one player. Yes, he's important, but this is a perfect opportunity for Mikey to look at somebody and say, okay, well, who's the next one to step up? And if there's one thing that last year's team did, is people stepping up in these moments. So we'll see if somebody on Wednesday is going to be able to do that. And, maybe that's Ima Boateng. You don't know.
Well, let's not get carried away. But I think you're sending us in the right direction chat-wise, because let's look at the lineup today, right? With both Valakari and Tverskov on the bench. They both come in late. Valakari makes a negative contribution. Tverskov makes a positive contribution with his flick-on header. But because of that, it meant you had Pirani, pardon me. I heard excellent job by Max Bretos on the broadcast all day, Pirani, but also Alvarado. You had them in the midfield working with Godoy. And honestly, for almost all of the first half, this was a really solid looking SDFC team. It didn't look like they missed a beat without Tverskov and Valakari, is my point.
Yeah, they were complete, and everybody knew what they needed to do. You saw a little bit of Gabi just kind of getting not lost, but not being exactly where he needs to be to receive a pass or take a pass. It was him and Godoy kind of trying to connect a little bit, but those are the little nuances of each individual player that they're not necessarily going to go exactly right to dream style. I know that this has to be the automatic pass. The default to their settings, and their settings is maybe go forward and take a 1v1 situation and see what happens. We saw that in a little bit. But it's really good to see how many players have been going through that development as well. At the end of the day, you're going to need it. And I saw here early in the comments, Thorhausen played, he told us 9 positions. We can see if he can fit somewhere in here and do some creative play as well.
Yeah, and he's going to be a huge part, I think, of this stretch run for the Chromatos. And not playing tonight means he's ready for next week for multiple contributions. Boy, what an exciting win for this club and this franchise to be able to survive LAFC. Bawanga thinks he's scored. That play was going to be, I think what I said to my wife at that moment was, boy, that was stupid. Just what a stupid, miserable way after you've dominated 20 minutes to just kind of give it up on a CJ thinks he's coming out, then he has to stop at the boundary, he doesn't get the ball, it kicks to Bawanga, he scores, and you're going, this is how it goes tonight after those 20 minutes. This is how it goes. No. Handball. VAR. SDFC's friend this evening. No question about
it. And you can say that too. Like, they were lucky for sure. Like, a goalkeeper's job is 90% luck, 10% the rest, and just make it up. Like, you have to have these nights that you rely on it. And I asked CJ, like, hey, what was it like just being and having a front row to this front back line that was doing such good work too? Like, you got a front line to some of the best MLS attackers, but then you have your teammates that are going up and taking care of business like it's nothing. And that is going to be what this team is needs to be putting together. Now, if they come on Wednesday and start to play like they did, and they give up a goal in the last second, let it be a tie, let it be whatever it may be, but you start to see those tendencies again, then we can look at this performance as maybe we played up to the competition a little bit. And so then you can start analyzing this team a little bit better. But from what we saw out there, I think, if they can maintain this, have this be a sustainable product, then they can do that. The sustainable errors are still there. Like, those are just going to happen. If it wasn't for that handball, that's going to be an error and a mistake on CJ's part, and that goal goes in. It is a completely different game, but it didn't turn out that way. And it's just a matter of being able to be defined by their successes in this match and not be defined by their errors, which for the most part, that's been SanDiego FC this season. They've been defined by their errors. They haven't been able to be defined by their successes, even if it's a gift of a success and a penalty.
Boy, that's exactly it. This is the kind of game that SDFC has lost all year on the road and at best drawn, and doing so despite controlling 93% of what they want to do. 93%. But then the 7% just kills them for a turnover, a quick 3v2, a goal against, another goal against, a yellow card, a red card that leads to another red card, that leads to another red card, as we saw, back in May. It's been those type of things that have bedeviled the Chromatos all year long. And to see this win, listen, every sports franchise every season needs a little bit of luck. You need a little bit. And I'm not going to lie, seeing the ref from England, Argentina out there, it kept me in the feels. I was like, all right, this guy's going to keep it exciting.
Yeah.
There's going to be some drama all the way through.
I mean, well officiated. I'd say well officiated.
Yeah, no, it was.
But yeah.
Still, I mean, you had to think, especially when we were like into the 8th minute of 5 minutes of stoppage time, and you're like, just how many minutes is this guy going to give? Is it until the next chance? When is it? And then finally the whistle came.
Yeah, no. And, again, kudos to everybody who made it up there and were part of this victory. It's one of these things too, where it can maybe just be an LA thing. Like, maybe they know the assignment. They understand the assignment. Don't lose to Los Angeles if you're San Diego. And for that, I think everybody who's a SanDiego FC fan has to be content with, at least. Even if this ended up being a tie, no, you get all 3 points. And I don't think it's a smash and grab either, because they worked this game. And yeah, they weren't successful in creating so many chances. And we can't sit here and be like, they didn't take advantage of the chances, because there weren't that many chances.
There were no chances.
So sure, create more chances. Usually they're fine with that, but they missed that next step. Even with that, they worked this match. They had possession. They just put fire blankets on situations, and were able to go ahead and survive their own mistakes. Like, that's this 2026 version of SanDiego FC that's been worked on. It's been battle tested, and hopefully again they can pack it all up and replicate it over in Wednesday. Then pack it on up, and then continue that momentum. And that's going to be the key for the success of this team, whether they make playoffs or not.
I mean, seriously, the reason I'm so geeked about this game and this result is that there are multiple positives to pull out of it. One, SDFC played a really strong performance on the road. Two, they normally lose this game and at the bare minimum draw it, and they somehow pulled a win. So, hey, our lucky night. How many lucky nights has SDFC had in 2026? Almost none. Like one, now two, maybe. Like they haven't had a lucky night. You need a lucky night in soccer. Soccer is not a clean sport. It's almost as stupid as baseball. You need some lucky nights every once in a while. So they got that. Three, the opportunity for improvement, the idea that Ashuri has an opportunity to take this offense to another level, the idea that Pellegrino can come back and be a contributor, that Alvarado and Vasquez have the chance. Vasquez not playing today, but I'm thinking back to Leagues Cup, have an opportunity. Pirani today as well, have an opportunity to raise the level of this SDFC team. And then you look across the back line and you go, you saved a goal, you saved a goal, you saved a goal, you saved a goal. CJ, you saved a goal. If we play terribly defensively, it's 5-1 LAFC today. And it could have been 2, 3, 4, could have been 5. SDFC wins this one 1-0. So, yeah, little luck in there. That's not hater talk. You got to love luck if you're a fan of soccer, man. You got to love getting a little bit lucky every once in a while, winning a game a little bit against the flow of play, knowing that LAFC, like SDFC had their game plan, but LAFC had their game plan. And both teams executed. SDFC won the Rondo game. Ooh, we completed 5,000 passes, whatever the number was. LAFC is like, yeah, we hit the channel 5 different times with opportunities to score quick strike goals. They didn't get any of them. And this concretely is 3 points in the books for SDFC that they could not count on and write into the ledger before. So these are 3 house money bonus points in the ledger for SDFC, and it's the single most encouraging result all year, Tony, toward the idea of them making MLS Cup.
Yeah, and to the credit of what Mikey and company have been saying, it's just, hey, give us a chance to recuperate, give us a chance to come together and circle the wagons, and you'll see that we're still a good team. And I think this is kind of these steps that they've been taking. That they've been baby steps. For a couple of games, they weren't getting any points. And they started getting momentum, started getting some points. Then there was a World Cup break. Come on back on the other side. Okay, you're still accumulating points. You're doing whatever in Leagues Cup, but you're seeing some new players coming on. But at the end of the day, we're going to, see what this team is really made of. And look, Wednesday you play against Portland. Portland is in 10th. And that's an important game because you're right outside that playoff territory once again.
That's huge. That's a huge one. We'll be talking about it. We'll break that one down probably Thursday on the Chromaniacs, unless it's such a dramatic result like this that it demands a post-match show. But let me ask you, Tony, I know you were in those interviews. Do we have any post-match sound we can share on the show?
We don't just yet, since it was Zoom. Wasn't able to have the technology to record it.
Right.
Usually I'm there. But we'll be rocking. That's the magic of what we did for so long. Like, it's just, hey, we're there. One of you's at the stadium, one of you's at home. Hey, here's the footage, upload it. That's why we love doing it post match when we're at home. It's a home game for me too.
No, absolutely. So that's all good. That's all good. Stay here for SanDiego.Futbol. And check out the channel to check out all of the post-match show material. Any other thoughts on this one overall, Tony? Something we missed? I mean, I really thought overall SDFC was really technical tonight. I thought they were extremely committed to their style, to their fitness. Maybe all those games at altitude, now you can go to LA and just be able to get through 95 no problem anymore. But I thought the team really, in the duel moments, in the 50-50 moments, they were really, really sharp tonight. Obviously, they still had 3, 4, 5 turnovers that turned into fast break opportunities for LAFC. It seems like that's kind of baked into this 2026 team, that they're going to do a lot of things right and then do one thing wrong that can be a goal against, as opposed to just kind of a harmless situation. And but that's due to the style, right? It's because they're so committed to holding the ball and just moving it endlessly. And I appreciate Barca too. I appreciate Spain. I appreciate the Netherlands. Like, it's fun to watch that when it really works, and to see it is a lot more pleasant than to watch a team absorb. SDFC doesn't have the talent to be able to just absorb and then hope to counter. And conversely, they're not bad enough to be able to just park the bus every game and then pray for a counterattack and a rush goal against the run. They've got this weird middle ground where they've got just enough to be able to mostly do what they want to do, but sometimes it doesn't work. And to be able to come away, I guess the way I would describe this, if I had to write a headline, is like, this is a proof of concept win for SDFC in LA.
I think so as well, because this is what they've been preaching this entire time. Everybody know their role and execute it. And I think that's what they did. They played to their strengths. And if SanDiego FC can play to their strengths and also just identify exactly where they're lacking and say, we're okay with that. We're okay with how we're going to be hurt. But on the other side, let's get better at what we're good at. And let's just focus on those things. And I think today was exactly an example of that. But it's going to be a sustainability thing. Like I said, can they and will they be able to go ahead and do this every other game, every game that comes up? And even if it's a different play style they face, even if it's somebody who's inviting a little bit more, LAFC, they're also an attacking. So it's a clash of styles where it complements each other. And for tonight, again, SanDiego FC was able to execute their strengths, but they have to go ahead and make sure that they learn from those lessons that they had in the past. And it took some ugly looks in the mirror for this team to find out exactly who they are. They're not the team of last year. They don't have those same situations, I guess, what you would call them. But they needed to go ahead and identify what this version of the team was and see what those strengths are, adapt them, and then now add those accents. And hopefully those accents are paying dividends, because again, you look at it and Yepa didn't start. I think he could have gone and started, and then on the other side of it too, just kind of throw and experiment with Pirani and Alvarado as well. But no, they chose Mikey, saw who he had and said, let's roll with it. It's a different look. LAFC may not be expecting this, so let's go against the grain in any minor detail as well.
Yeah, I think just such an affirming win on so many levels. And then you look ahead, and as as we discussed, Wednesday up against Portland, place I'd still love to go visit. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it on Wednesday, but an incredible place. Now, if SDFC comes away from that with a loss, you can still look at the two games and go, at LAFC, at Portland, if you walk away from that with 3 points, how do you feel? You'd feel great. Because if you walked away from that with 2 points, with a pair of draws, you'd feel excellent about what you did. So to come away with 3, a win and a loss, that would be fine. But if you can get a result out of Portland, all the better. And then Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium, Mikey Varas doesn't have to tell you twice, Tony, a very good Colorado team. Very good. So, that's a challenge as well. And then the following Saturday, it's Chucky Bowl 1. And some of the biggest drama that MLS will see in 2026 will take place at Snapdragon Stadium. The house will be filled, I'm sure, because I'm sure every member of Chuki FC is going to come down because you've all relocated to Carson and picked up your season tickets for Galaxy. You're all going to come down and fill Snapdragon Stadium to cheer Chucky Lozano as he faces SDFC. I'm sure you're all going to do that, Chucky FC folks. So, look, I can't wait. It's going to be so much extra insanity, so much mess. And, that stuff can be fun. And for it to happen first in San Diego, but I'd just like to note, full time, Houston Dynamo 1, LA Galaxy 0.
Ooh, yes.
Whereas in Ashuri's debut, full-time SDFC 1 away, LAFC 0. So
yeah. That should tell you, where things are at right now. Or right now. But that game is going to be that's circled, that's everywhere. That's it's good to have this little drama in MLS, because I'm coming into the league, just kind of very open-minded to see what I was going to see. I understood that there's a certain level and style of play throughout different teams and the league itself, but this is one thing where it lacked, and it's just the drama, the messiness. Just, it's not sterile, like it's messy, like it's gross, but it's fun, and this is what sports should be in some cases as well. But at the end of the day, it's one of these things. You want to hear? Let me highlight one. We need to pander to Mexicans. That's what you need to say, but can't. No, they did pander to Mexicans, and it worked like 100%. Like that Chucky Mania was full packed of them. So at the end of the day, sure, like it worked. Good job.
If it's a great business strategy for SDFC to quote unquote pander, I would just say market and attract aggressively the Mexican and Hispanic community. That just simply makes sense. I mean, it is not lost on, I think, anybody that their second sellout of the season was a Leagues Cup game against Cholos. Like the season opener and a Leagues Cup game against Cholos, not LAFC. Maybe Chucky FC gets us a sellout on the 29th, but everything else has come up a little bit short. So it's not that they're wrong. It's that they made the wrong bet and it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. What you gonna do?
Try again. Mora, get over here. What are you doing over there? No, he's too young. Are you kidding me? He's on El Tree. He's not coming over here for a dozen years. Yeah. He's not coming over here for 13, 14 years. That's when you're going to see more in MLS.
I could hear it now. I can see the press release now. First ever Cholos and San Diego FC player, Il Mora.
Come on.
2030.
2038.
I mean, honestly, he may still be in his prime at that point.
Yeah, 2039 maybe, after the 2038 World Cup. 2039. That's where he's that's where we get our first look at him. Well, any final thoughts on this one? Obviously, we normally go through the post-match sound right here. We'll get that up for you at SanDiego.Futbol. Make sure you subscribe to SanDiego.Futbol so that you know as soon as it goes up, and you can check all of that out as we go forward. You had the chance to chat to the guys a little bit. You dropped in some thoughts along the way through the discussion, but if you would just sum up what Mikey's attitude, overall gist was.
Yeah, he was definitely happy with his team, the performance that they gave them, and he does layer things and kind of lets you know that these are the building steps, and the words that he uses: maturity. Today was a mature game for him, as mature as it gets, and he was very happy with the different interventions that happened throughout the match, and honestly, that they took it to a very good team, and this I believe him this time for sure. But I think what comes up is that today is they're going to celebrate this, look back, and just make sure that they are ready to go ahead and package it up and be ready to take it forward to Portland, because that's the most important thing. They need to build that consistency. They've learned through some of their mistakes, but he's very hopeful, and you can see that just he was relaxed about it. He was very relaxed and just very comfortable in that space because he realized that his team did something that a lot of people didn't think was possible tonight. And I don't think people within San Diego FC thought it was possible tonight either. But they just proved everything wrong. They walked the walk, and he was a happy coach tonight. He was definitely a happy coach tonight.
Well, we hope he'll continue to be happy throughout the course of next week as we map out our Chromaniacs coverage for the coming week. Hope you enjoyed the post-match show here. Please hit the thumbs up button if you're watching us on YouTube Live to set things up for all the rest of the folks who'll come by tomorrow morning and over the course of the next few days to listen to us break down this incredibly exciting, affirming, important, all of it. This was just an all-of-it win for San Diego FC tonight. Truly one of the best wins of the year. I mean, this Toluca with 10 men, 5-0 to start the year. There's not too many so far this year to put our hat on. I think this is the one that hopefully is the true springboard. But that means Wednesday night in Portland, keep it going. And if you can find 3 points there as well, holy cow, look how the standings are going to change in a hot hurry. Either way, Tony, Alex, and I will be back Thursday night with another edition, episode 22 of season 2 of Chromaniacs. Talking about it all, bringing you the sound from the pitch, and getting you ready for Saturday against a very good Colorado team. Tony, any final thoughts?
Well, you can find the final thoughts of Mikey Varas and CJ Dos Santos and other players after this game against LAFC at SanDiego.Futbol, SanDiego.Futbol. Catch up with what they had to say right after.
There was no post-game show on our Padres Hot Tub Patreon tonight because the Padres got one hit by the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah, hits were 11-1. It wasn't, but that happens. That's baseball. However, at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub, we do post-game shows for every Padres victory. We'll be recording the main show tomorrow night with myself, Rafi Cantor, and Chris Reed joining us live from New York, where his acting career is blossoming. We're going to go through it all for what's been, whether they win or lose tomorrow, a great week of San Diego Padres baseball as well. Check it out, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub if you want to be part of the conversation. You can follow me on Instagram at 619 Sports and Life, where I put out my thoughts on the Waves. They're going to be good. One of these days, they're going to be good.
You got to put it
so
together.
Close.
Yeah.
They're so close. I don't know if it's this year. It might be next year. This is a championship team. They're going to lift a cup. They're going to do it. The young players, Mel B, then you get Cat involved. Ascanio's getting better. Like, so many good players for San Diego Wave FC. Just agonizing for them to not pull the win out last night and to draw 1-1. So you can check that out at 619 Sports and Life and plenty more. For Alex Pena in absentia and Tony Sanchez, I'm Craig Elston. Thanks to you for being here. SDFC wins in LA 1-0. Vamos, SDFC.